Enzo's first competition match. His opponent, Max Marung from Gracie Baja Kirkland. Let's skip ahead to the start of the match. So this was a match with some really good things and some mistakes to correct. Anytime you go to a competition for the first time, we're looking for correcting big mistakes. That's the idea. That's what the win is. So it's already a victory just to step on the mat. So congratulations to Enzo for taking his first step into competing in jiu-jitsu. Okay, here we go. So Enzo steps out onto the mat, and his opponent Max is on the way. They shake hands and begin. So the start of the match involves grip fighting. You're trying to get positive grips on your opponent. You're trying to get wrist control, collar ties, underhooks, possibly shoot in for a leg. His opponent, Max, has a much lower head position than him. Often what you want to do is track your opponent's head position. So if your opponent's head is lower than yours, if you want to be defensive about it, you lower your head down to be an equal level to theirs. If their head is substantially lower than yours, either because of their stance or because of their height, they'll have an easier time entering into your legs. You'll have an easier time attacking their head. Now, in the context of stand-up like this, you probably don't want them to enter on your legs, so it might be a good idea to take a little bit of a lower posture here. Track your opponent's head position. And there we see Max shoot in for the leg. Now here he picks up a head on the outside single, and Enzo goes for a guillotine, both of which are not allowed. So this is just a rules moment. The head on the outside single is not permitted, I believe, in all beginner categories, because there's a risk of falling down on your head. In the more advanced categories, it's a very legitimate technique. Also in the non-adult categories, this is a teenager match, the guillotines are not permitted. So back to the match here. Another guillotine tackle. They're going to reset in the middle. At this point, my fault as a coach for not having told Enzo that guillotines weren't allowed, but as in the following match, we clarified those rules, and then we know that the guillotines aren't allowed. Okay, so here's a bit of a scramble that ensues after the takedown. So Max initiates a leg attack again. He goes in for the legs, and Enzo is trying to get the guillotine attack. And in the process of Max driving forward, they roll over, and Enzo ends up on top. That was a super great move for Enzo. He's going to score his 2 points for the takedown because he ended up on top for that. Now he's got to establish better points of control. So he should be searching for a crossface with his left arm and an underhook with his right arm. Here he gets a little bit greedy and tries to do the pass before he gets upper body control. And because of that, his opponent, Max, has the underhook on that side, doesn't have a crossface, and is not flat on his back. So if you're on the bottom and you're on your side and you have the underhook and your head's not blocked, then you can get up. So he's going to start to do that. He's going to start to get up onto his knees, and as he does that, he takes Enzo to the ground. And I think the ref gives the points a little bit early for that, but it's hard to be a ref, and I think he's doing the best he can, so I'll not fault him for that call. Enzo quickly reverses the position again, gets on top, and tries to attack the arm. I see the ref is being pretty generous with the points, giving the points to Enzo here. So very fair reffing. No complaints here. So Enzo's got the arm now. From here, he's got two submission options that are really ready. One would be the Kimura by putting his opponent's wrist over on his opponent's back. And the second would be the belly down armbar, which would mean putting the wrist away from his partner's body and then pushing up against his own thigh. Now, in either case, he needs to isolate his partner's wrist from his partner's body, and his partner, Max, is doing a good job of keeping his wrist tucked in. So at this point, if you can't free the wrist, then the next best move is to try to roll your partner over and get on top for a top armbar. So at this point, this is really close to doing it. Here, what Enzo should do is push him towards the camera, and he could get his partner's back onto the ground. His opponent doesn't have anything to post on in that direction. One thing that can make that easier is if Enzo controls Max's arm with his right arm. That way his left arm could be free to grab the leg and pull the leg over, which could help forcing his partner down. So that would have been a nice way to continue this attack. His opponent keeps his hand, no, he frees his hand and turns around for a pass. When you're being, when someone's doing this kind of turn this around the corner pass where you're being stacked, you've got a couple different options here. you do want to maintain pressure against them with that leg. So if you fold your legs together, or you tip off to the side with your knees pointing away from your opponent, then you'll get past for sure. So you want to push into them. You can even try to get up on your shoulders and push into them with your hips, post with your arms, and you can even, if your other hand's free, self-frame on the other hand, on the other leg. That can sometimes help you gain a little bit more structural integrity. Now here in side control, you don't want to pull your partner to you. So this arm holding Max's head is not well placed. The top player wants to take the space away and be stuck to the bottom player. The bottom player's got an opposite mission. He wants to create space. So this frame could be much better used. Now Max, Enzo's opponent, is using two really useful tools here to keep Enzo down. One tool is a crossface, so he's got his left arm over Enzo's neck. We'll probably see a better angle of it pretty soon. And the other one is he's got this hip switch going on. Because he's switched his hips so his knees are pointing towards Enzo's face, he's kind of on his side, it's harder for Enzo to slip this knee underneath his hips. So that's what he's doing to defend the legs. And then his crossface arm is keeping Enzo pinned and making it hard for Enzo to get onto his side. So what Enzo needs to do now is address that crossface and get off of his back. So right now Enzo's doing a good job of at least not leaving space for the mount. So he's keeping active with this leg, not letting it relax so that his opponent might step over to the mount. But next he needs to deal with the crossface. So he can't accept the crossface. Two possible options. There are certainly more than two, but one of them would be to slide his right arm inside to get his hand on his opponent's bicep and push away. And another one is to push his opponent's tricep over his head to get it to the other side. So the crossface arm right now, Max's left arm is over Enzo's head. It's hard to see. That was a nice escape there in the moment to try to get back to guard. From this position of guard, oh, nice. He's going for a triangle. All right, that was a nice attempt at an attack for the triangle. There wasn't enough control of Max's limbs, so Enzo shoots up a leg. He's got good posture control, but Max's arms are not controlled. And because of that, Max slips his other arm in, pushes the leg to the side, and passes in another way similar to what happened before, pushing both of Enzo's knees into the same direction, pointing away from him, and then coming around to the side. So what Enzo needs to do here is push back into his opponent. He needs to try to face him and not let his knees get stacked away from him. Another scrambly option, which is not recommended but can sometimes work, is when you're getting pushed in this direction to back roll over this shoulder and then try to go in for a turtle position from which you can work from. Those are other options that you can explore. So here we're back into the side control, and Max is returning to his side control of choice, which is the hip switched and the crossface. So Enzo's got to deal with this crossface. He can either try to slip his hand on the inside, which he's starting to do now. This is really good. Or he can push the elbow across to the other side of his head. So he can push his opponent's arm to the other side. But he doesn't want to keep that crossface because that's a strong tool for keeping the bottom player flat. Here, Enzo does a great job of tracking that elbow now. He's got two hands on the elbow or on the bicep. What he needs to do now to finish this in the sit-up style escape is he needs to turn to his right. He needs to release with his right arm and start creating some elevation with it. So this elbow goes to the ground, then the hand goes to the ground, and he posts up and gets up. So Enzo's trying some different strategies, trying to escape, see what he can do. Get back to guard, another triangle attempt. So this is just repeat of the same thing. Not enough control of the arms or shoulders. He needs to find a way to isolate the arms from the body in order to do the triangle. Gets another kind of smash pass off to the side. This one was closer to a triangle, and Enzo keeps the arm, hoping to get an armbar, but the elbow's free. So not enough control of the elbow to get that done. Turns around in the mount. Only 15 seconds left. And from here for the mount escape, Enzo needs to get his frames in with his arms and pummel his feet to the inside. Right now Max is grapevining the legs of Enzo, which makes it really hard to escape. So Enzo's got to win the pummel battle for the legs inside and the battle for the arms. inside. And then he's going to have some options for escape. Match is over. And that's a win for Max on points. Wonderful learning experience for Enzo. Some great moves, some things to work on. Great work, Enzo.